I've had some people ask me for some soup recipes since it's getting colder here in Indiana and it's kind of soup season. And so I thought I'd do, because I don't really use written recipes, I thought I'd do some video tutorials about my soups that I make. And it's not a lot, but it's a few of them. And so today I'm going to start with this cream corn soup that I make. When I was first married to Martin and when we were engaged, we used to go up to his mom's river cottage up on the river, and in the fall especially and in the winter, she would always make this cream corn soup that was just delicious. And there's like basically nothing to it. And so we would have cream corn soup and hot tea for dinner every time we went to visit. Not every time, but almost every time we went to visit. And it was so delicious. And so now every once in a while I make it. And it's so fantastic because you don't really need anything. There's hardly anything in it, but if you have extra stuff, you can add to it. But it's very, very basic, and it just uses canned cream style corn. Okay, so here we go. So I start out with some butter, and I used a lot of butter. I use a lot of butter when I cook. This is probably 1/4 of a stick melting away over on, let's see, what am I on? I'm on almost 4 is my heat. And then lined up here I have 4 cans of cream style corn, which was surprisingly hard to find. I don't know if people aren't making this stuff anymore or what, but cream style corn. This time I'm putting in celery, even though I don't usually put in celery. I have a bunch of celery to use, and I've got an onion, and I've got more onions because I might do more onions too. It's basically cream style corn, onion, salt, and pepper. And then you add some chicken broth and some milk. So we will wait for this. This is probably about ready and hot enough, and we're going to start slicing onions. Okay, I've got my onions. I ended up using about a medium one and a small one, and 2 little stalks of celery. This actually, I said little stalks, but they were really pretty big. The onions are getting to me. Oh my! All right, so I'm going to let this simmer. I'm turning my heat up a little bit. I like to cook around 7. I'll let this simmer for a while, and I'm going to add some salt. Salt is a tricky thing. I usually put in about a palm full, and then I add more later. So I'll do this. This is typically about how much salt I put in. Just sprinkle it on in there, and then I will likely add more later to taste. So we'll do some pepper too. This is just black pepper. That looks good. Now, a note on the pepper in cream corn soup. My mother-in-law always used white pepper for the cream corn soup. And that is really, that's the way to do it. Use white pepper if you have it. I am all out of white pepper, and so I'm using black pepper. But this is kind of a peppery soup. So you want to use something. But that white pepper, that's the best. All right, we're getting kind of translucent here. Give it a stir. It's looking good, it's smelling good. So now we're going to put in the corn. Ooh, it's foggy. All right, we're going to put in the corn. And this is literally dumping in cans of cream style corn. It looks kind of gross. Cream style corn is kind of gross, but it's good in this soup. I've tried making this with whole kernel frozen corn, and it's not nearly the same. So I'm putting in 3 cans. I'm going to put in all 4 cans because I opened them already. All right, and we'll stir them up. And then I'm not going to heat this as it is. I'm going to put the chicken broth. Okay, so I've got some chicken broth. I do like to make my own chicken broth. But today I have my fresh thyme chicken broth because we had chicken the other night, and I had every intention of saving all the scraps and making broth, but I totally forgot, and the kids scraped their plates into the trash. So I'll just use this box stuff. When I do buy chicken broth, this is not my favorite, actually. I just chose this because it was cheap this time. But what I really prefer is the Pacific brand of broth. They have a free-range organic chicken broth. And when I don't make my own, I kind of splurge on that a lot. Most of the time, actually. Okay, so this is 1 one box, 32-ounce box of broth here. 4 cans of cream style corn soup, 2 little things of celery, and 2 onions. And so it's on 7 heat, kind of there. And we will just wait for this to get boily. And then I'm probably going to add a little bit more broth, and then I'll add some milk. We're boiling away here. The corn soup is boiling. It's only been going about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, so I'll let it go a little longer. You could, if I don't usually put celery in, like I said, I should have probably sauteed it a little longer to get it a little softer. But anyway, just boiling away. I'll let it go a few more minutes and then I'll turn it off and let it cool. I went ahead and added another box full of chicken broth because it was getting too thick and the celery wasn't soft enough for my taste yet. If I had been in a hurry, I would have just made do and taken it off when it was, just after about 20 minutes. But now I'm going to get it up to a boil again with this chicken broth and let that celery really soften. And also I've got some brown in mine because I kind of walked away and let it scorch on the bottom a little bit. So I've got these brown flecks, but it doesn't smell burned. It just smells browned. It's like brown butter corn soup. All right, I finished boiling this and I let it sit for a while. So now it's still hot, but it's not boiling anymore. I really should have either left out the celery or let it simmer longer because I cut it really thick and it's pretty crunchy. I had some of this just now for my lunch and it's really tasty, but the celery is still crunchy. So make sure you do your celery for longer than I did. Translucent, I guess, is what you want. So now we're going to add some milk. My very specific, well-measured method for pouring in milk is to eyeball it. So I just give it some glugs. And then I stir. Come over and see this. I would put a little more in. I like mine pretty creamy. So glug, stir. How's it looking? You know what? I'm going to put in one more glug. Glug, stir. And I'm going to call that done. This is our dinner, so I'm going to stick it in the fridge and heat it up for dinner. But that's it. That's corn soup. We'll have it with maybe some tea, and it'll be a perfect fall evening soup. And now we're eating our... How do you like it, girls?
It's good.
It's good? Good, good?
Bad!
Delicious! Mmm.
Ew, ew.